Okay, we're here with Rick Lindsey of X Insurance. Rick, you've pretty much spent your whole life inside of insurance, correct?
Yeah, since I was 15, I was stuffing envelopes and working in the mailroom, and then just went all in. So,
Yeah, that was your dad's company, correct?
yeah, he owned a wholesaler called Fidelity General Agency, and we had, underwriting authority with Lloyd's and Canal, Carolina Casualty, Western World, Great Southwest. But, that's when, MGAs had kind of a manual from them. And I remember if you wrote, like stables, it was $300 for a riding ring and $100 a horse. And, from very early on, I thought, if you got 10 horses or 20 horses, why are you charging $100 a horse? Because the exposure is more how many people ride a horse. And any insurance, needs to be based on some number, some unit that makes sense. And insurance companies like to use gross receipts or payroll, and because it's easy to track and easy to audit. But if you're really trying to nail it down, and I always use the self-insured option. If you were going to self-insure your home, worth $1 million, and it's going to be damaged every 5 years or 10 years, it's just math. Right. The biggest
Right.
problem with homeowners insurance is people with a $5 million house, they paid 5 million. So, they think that's what it's worth. That's not what it's worth. The land isn't part of the value of your house. It's the building and what the reconstruction or construction costs today are. And
Right.
so, a lot of agents compete on price. And one of the ways to get a cheaper price is you reduce the value. Right. So again, if you have a $3,000 square foot home and you let them insure it for 1,000, not only do they have their deductible, they're going to have a big co-insurance penalty because they didn't buy the right insurance. So,
Right.
to me, it's you just got to, buyers should ask, more important than the price is what am I not covered for? Because I'm
Right.
100% self-insured. And then, how does the math work if I have a claim? And, my personal belief is that as, you underwrite, you write business, if you have a claim, it goes to a whole separate department and they really re-underwrite it, right? And they'll say, oh, you only insured to half the value. And I always go back and say, well, as an insurance company, why would you do that? Why would you let somebody insure half the value? And it's because an agent wants to sell it. So, even if you do it right, the guy giving them a cheaper rate drops the value. And again, that's what insureds want. They tell me all the
Right.
time, I'm never going to have a claim. I've never had a claim. And I'm like, well, then you don't need me because
Yeah.
all I do is manage claims. And it doesn't matter whether it's an aircraft, a boat, your home, it's all insurance. And you need to know what you're not covered for.
The rates are obviously going up, both for the owner and for the non-owner insurance. But what advice do you have for people that need both, you know, aircraft insurance, pilot insurance, and then also as the non-owner or renter insurance?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that I'm an insurance consumer, right? That's where my roots started, and then I've been in the insurance business. So, hired and non-owned auto or aircraft is, if you ran a backhoe, if you're a contractor, you need coverage for hired and non-owned equipment. Sometimes it's called care, custody, and control. When you take care, custody, and control of an aircraft, or if you're a student or you're a pilot renting it, you need to make sure you have proper coverage. So, if you own an aircraft, like when I bought my first helicopter, the insurance made it unaffordable. So I self-insured the whole, paid cash for it, and I bought liability coverage. If you can do that, that's makes it affordable. Robinson helicopters and gyros and all these things. In most cases, Robinson became the biggest aircraft manufacturer in the world because of Pathfinder Insurance, who insured Robinsons for like 20 grand, right? Or if you went to the regular market, it would have been 60 grand. But if you read the fine print and look at it, Robinson or Pathfinder's policy doesn't allow you to sue the manufacturer. It actually covers Robinson in the contract as the manufacturer.
Wow.
And Robinson's, as the hours go down and they get to zero, it's worthless. You have to rebuild it. So, but they basically changed the helicopter world and got a lot of people their license. And, obviously everybody wants to become a commercial helicopter pilot. And, I think that Silver State and some of the companies that went bankrupt before COVID, if you can get a loan, just like all these college kids who go get all these loans and then they get out and they can't get a job and pay the loan back. So, that's not a career move, but you have to have at least 1,000 hours to go get a commercial job, which, is somebody wanting to get into a career. It depends how much you fly, obviously, but it's going to take you 5 years probably to get 1,000 hours. Anyway, pilots of fixed wing aircraft, Cessnas and the normal school helicopters, AOPA used to offer them student coverage, and it would cover fixed wing. I don't know of anybody that provides helicopter non-owned, student pilot rental coverage. We do, and we've done it for, I don't know, since 95 probably. We don't do a lot of it. And so, we insure a lot of helicopters now, mainly for private owners. We do a lot of really fast boats. Our biggest class is probably commercial auto. 10 years ago, I didn't write any commercial auto. And then the lawyers started attacking trucks, and it became, a very large litigation industry. So truckers need a good insurance company. So, now I can be valuable to them. We just had a claim in Florida where, unfortunately, the kid lost his leg in an accident, but it was 100% his fault. No seatbelt, drunk, and speeding. And, the lawyers spent 300 grand for the last 3 years pretending like they wanted to fight. And then the defense lawyers we hire at the courthouse steps, they're going to forget the facts and they're going to focus on the injury. This kid lost his leg, which again, it's sad. It's, you can say it's a $10 million claim. You can say it's more than that. But you don't have to pay anything if you're not liable. And so, the insured got information from the lawyer that I'm paying and he wants to settle it. So I get him on the phone and I talk him in to the reality that, why are you afraid? Why do you want to settle this claim? And he's like, well, I could lose my business. And I'm like, dude, if you have to pay people you're not liable to, you ain't building a business. All you're doing is building a reputation that the lawyers will continue to come milk the cow and get the money. Right? A lot of this stuff is like a bad divorce. Buyers of insurance and plaintiffs and everybody gets mad at each other. And so they hire a lawyer, just like a bad divorce, and all the money goes to the lawyers. Very little of it actually makes it to the plaintiff 5 years later, because if we've spent 300 grand, the plaintiff spent 300 grand. So if they get a $500,000 settlement, what's their net? 100 grand or something. And if we're truly liable, I would just pay them the $500,000. So any court case is you have to prove liability. And then second stage is you have to prove your damages. And damages are pretty hard to prove. Medical bills, you have 700,000 in medical bills, that's what drives everything. And the lawyers normally times that by 10. So that'd be a $7 million claim. and they can certainly get beyond that. But if you're not liable, you don't owe that. If you're only 10% liable, you owe 10% in most jurisdictions. And there are some states where if you're 51% at fault, you pay the whole thing. And, those are state differences that you have to be situationally aware of and know how to manage claims. And that is why we make money as an insurance company, is because we don't insure stupid. We don't compete with stupid. We sit down with people. We're not trying to sell them insurance. We're trying to give them a partnership where if they have a claim, we're going to make them happy. We're going to make it less painful. And then we're going to continue to insure them after the event. If your insurance, which, homeowners in Florida, business owners, they are afraid to report their claims. Why? Because they know they'll get a rate increase or get canceled. Well, that means that you've struck a shitty deal, right? If you've struck a proper deal, then you should be reporting claims just like it's a lawyer that you paid a retainer to.
Right.
You wouldn't pay a lawyer a retainer and then be afraid to call him. But insurance has created this, and insurers now, they increase the deductible and increase the price, which is exactly the opposite of what I do. I don't like deductibles. I think as an industry, we should scrap deductibles because it's an old-fashioned approach that feeds litigation. And we should replace the deductible with a quota share where, the insured takes 1%, I take 99. So if you have $100 claim, you pay $1, I pay 99. Right? But we're working together on every claim. If you have $100,000 deductible, you don't report anything under the 100. And if you have 10 claims or 5 claims, one of those is going to become a bigger claim, right? A 5-mile-an-hour accident or a small incident, slip and fall. 2 years later, you get a lawsuit saying that they've had $700,000 in back surgery. And, in most cases, it's an old injury, and they're trying to take advantage of this event and get you to pay it because they know that most insurance companies don't really have the commitment to their insured. And, you can see it, California homeowners, wildfires, they all cancel. Chubb, AIG, Liberty Mutual, all of them are running away from California. Well, isn't it just math? And if if you do proper math, you'd collect enough money to make happy customers. But, if you look at California homeowners, earthquake has always been sold separately, right? Liquor legal, if you own a bar or a hotel, you have a package and then you buy your liquor separately. Anytime you're told by a cheap market that, we'll give you this price, but you have to buy this alone, like a dog bite or a shooting or an assault and battery on your property. We don't cover that. Well, that's not a real solution. When you're buying more than one policy, the guy trying to cherry pick what he thinks is the best and exclude the rest, that's not a partnership. They're selling you a can of corn and they're trying to carve out the risk that you have. That feeds the lawyers again. So, you need a strategy, you need a partner, not a cheap price.
Right. And now, so inside of the aviation aspect, if you're an owner of an aircraft, do you handle the insurance the same way as what you just explained, where there isn't any deductible? Did you basically work your system where people?
We offer that to the aircraft people we insure. The yacht market and the aircraft market are. The bigger the plane, the bigger the yacht, the cheaper the insurance. And, to me, that's not the way it should be. So, we quote some bigger yachts. I've quoted a $100 million yacht. There's far bigger than that. But, they're used to pay, like homeowners in Malibu, California for a $40 million home, may have been 70 grand. Now they can't get it. And so, the price is increased substantially, sometimes, 4 to 10 times. But obviously, when a wildfire is approaching, everybody wants insurance. After the wildfire season, everybody doesn't want insurance anymore. It's kind of like storms. So, you know, um, we do gyros, we do helicopters, we do, all kinds of single pilot aircraft because that's unpopular now. A lot of them are elderly, fly their own plane. So, again, the traditional approach would be $100,000 deductible. They might increase it to 250 if you're older. If you got $1 million aircraft and you have $100,000 deductible, if you have a small hangar rash or something, you're paying it all. In most cases, if I say, okay, we'll take, you take 10%, I'll take 90%. And then if you have $100,000 hangar rash or some small event, you would only pay 10%. So I'm actually paying more on every claim. And, when your house is damaged or your aircraft's damaged, insurance companies delay stuff, right? They send out some TPA to review it, and it goes into review, and 6 months later, you're still dinking around. Time is money, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'm an insured. If my boat's damaged or my helicopter's damaged or my house is damaged, I want you to come and tell me what we're going to do. And in many cases, the homeowner or the boat owner, the helicopter, like me, I know, right? I'm a good resource. But with the deductible, you're going to play games with each other. When you switch to a percentage basis, we both are interested in getting the same result. Fix it as fast as possible, the way it should. And in some cases, that might be more money because you got to take it to a shop that can actually do the work.
Right.
And that was the case with my boat when some guy ran into it. It wasn't my fault. But you could have fixed it there, but they can't fix it properly. And so, is an adjuster going to agree with you with a deductible? I don't think so. With a percentage, you're, as an insurance company, I'm willing to pay more to get it done quickly because I know I make a happy customer and time is money. If you do it the other way, in the long run, you're going to cost more money. And then I'm going to cancel the insured. And he's going to, every time he goes to get new insurance, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So that gets more expensive. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So, some people take 50% of the risk. That's the maximum I allow. Because I am an insurance company. I want an equal playing field, but many people can't take 50%. But, if you take 10% now, or you have $100,000 deductible on your roof or your helicopter, in most cases, you could take 25% because most losses are going to be partial.
Right.
It's not going to be the whole 100 grand. It'd be like 50 grand. So, you could afford that more than you can $100,000 deductible. So I like doing claim scenarios like mock claims. Okay, let's see how your current policy works. Well, you're saving money, but your co-insurance penalty, the helicopter's worth $2 million, you only insured it for $1 million, which I don't let you do because we talk about it and agree we got to insure the right value. But the math with your deductible and the co-insurance penalty means you're not going to get enough money to fix your helicopter.
Right.
That's not a solution. That's where you go get a lawyer to start suing people.
Right.
So, be careful for what you ask for. I want a cheap quote, right? Okay, let's say you get what you want. Let's go step 2 and 3. How does that end up when you have to play the game after that? I'm not worried about that. I'm never going to have a claim. Okay, see ya. Because if you're never going to have a claim, you don't need me. The only thing insurance should do is help make your claim less painful, not more painful. And, in my experience as a consumer, I can tell you my boat was insured with Jake, the good neighbor at State Farm. I can tell you he's not a good neighbor. On the phone, the claims person told me, we don't do boats, we do homes. You're going to have to manage your own claim. And I said, do you tell people that when you take their money? No, they don't tell people that. They're giving you a quote and they want to write your business. They're not thinking about a claim. And, I actually believe that they think their underwriting rules, mean you're never going to have a claim. That's the only reason they take your money and justify being cheaper than everybody else. If we started a company today and tried to compete against people who currently have policies, are you going to be able to sell them a higher rate? I don't think so. Most people's attitude is, well, if you can get me a cheaper price, I'll let you quote it.
Right.
And, over the years, I've actually got cheaper prices when I was an agent. And guess what? They didn't buy it from me anyway. They used it as leverage to get the other underwriter to come down and meet the price. So who's leading, right? There's a right price. It's math. When you're sharing risk, right, you kind of do real math in your head. Well, if I have a claim every 10 years and it's a total loss of $1 million, I got to pay $100,000 a year to break even. Right. So my belief is in Florida, any property down there, every 50 years, maybe 25, is going to be damaged somehow by a storm, a tornado, flood, whatever. And again, my approach in Florida is I cover any difference in the condition of the building. You don't buy flood somewhere else. You tell me I'm not in a flood zone. I don't need flood. I'm like, I know. That's why there's not a lot of premium in here for flood. If you were on the coast and in a big flood area, it'd be more money. But, you can't be half pregnant. So if I take your money and I exclude flood and you're in Florida, there's a neighborhood down there that's not in a flood zone, never been flooded. All 400 houses are under 4 feet of water for weeks, and none of them have coverage. It's over.
Wow. Now you offer insurance all over the country, correct?
All 50 states.
Okay. So any of our listeners that are in Florida can go ahead and reach out to. I'm assuming they reach out to your head office, and you're based in Utah, correct?
I started as an insurance agent, became a broker after working for my dad's MGA. And, then I became a Lloyd's cover holder. And then I started Prime in Chicago. I was C rated, so I issued Lloyd's paper for many years until I got my A rating. And now I don't issue Lloyd's paper anymore. Some of the syndicates do reinsure me. But, what gives X Insurance more clout or more ability to execute is I own Prime Insurance Company, which is an A-rated insurance company licensed in all 50 states. My original company was called Evolution Insurance Brokers, and that still exists. X Insurance is a DBA of Evolution. So it accepts business from buyers direct, agents, and wholesalers. We're an open market. Anybody can approach us any way they want. I'm not trying to appoint one agent and force everybody. That's all. That's all the way it's been done historically. That in my experience and stuff, it needs to evolve, right? All this technology and everything, hasn't decreased the cost or increased efficiencies. It just the service providers, the people who, provide claim service, the lawyers, they ain't going to help you save money. A lawyer, when I have a claim, a death claim, helicopter skiing, I settled it for $30,000. Well, when I issued Lloyd's paper, they would have hired some big law firm and they would have never settled it for $30,000 because they couldn't build the $300,000 they want to.
Right.
So, as an insurance company, you have to do this stuff in-house. You don't outsource stuff. People you hire are a tool that help you get a task done that you need done to complete the war, win the war. And, when you outsource like the big boys do, you're just giving up control and you're on the beach or you're golfing or something and you're hoping somebody else is going to mind your store, and it doesn't happen. So Prime does everything in-house. I insured the Rolling Stones concert during COVID. And now I'm quoting this big park in Miami, and the owner is a big billionaire. And, like I told her today, and I told the Rolling Stone agent, I said, look, I don't deal with the Wizard of Oz who wants me to
Right.
deal with their lawyer, right? If they don't want to come out from behind the curtain and we can have an agreement, a meeting of the minds, and then we can issue a contract and execute a strategy, I don't want to insure them. I don't care what I can
Right.
charge them. So, the Rolling Stones, I got video of Mick and me and Keith and me having a video conference Zoom call. I insured if they died during the concert tour or if it was canceled for COVID. And nobody would do it on the planet. And, I was able to do it. I can do anything in a day. I don't need to go ask other people because over the years I've been able to build a company that allows me to issue up to a $10 million limit in house today if I want to. But I
Right.
don't compete with stupid, and I don't do deals where people don't want to come out from behind the curtain.
So you really are the man that can.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like to find a way to say yes, unless, it's not a partnership. It's a
Right.
one-way street.
So just to, I just want to ask this question. Do you also offer then car insurance to everybody as well? Or is that only through business
Well,
insurance?
no, we do a lot of commercial auto, personal auto. It's everybody wants to write your personal auto, right?
Right.
Geico, Progressive, it's all online. There's rate comparables. That's more like going to the grocery store or the gas station, right? If you can get it, great. If you formed a corporation and you have, your cars in that and you can't get it, we issue commercial coverage. And, one of the things I think about insurance is, in the old days, you used to, pack your lunchbox and go to your work, and work policies exclude personal and personal policies exclude work. Well, nobody's life is like that anymore.
No.
It all crosses over. So when we issue commercial auto, we include your personal use, right? A lot of
Okay.
times, Progressive will insure their liability and they'll insure $1 million car, but they won't insure more than 250. So
Right.
we'll write 750 excess over the Progressive policy. And, again, I think the biggest issue right now with umbrellas is there is no such thing as umbrella anymore. Everybody sells an umbrella policy, but it's really a following form excess, right?
Right.
So if you have a homeowners and an auto policy, it covers above that. If your homeowners excludes your dog and your firearm, your umbrella policy excludes your dog and your firearm too. So we
Right.
offer what I call a true umbrella, TRU, and we underwrite your work, your home, and your play. So if you're a police officer and you moonlight, we cover it all, right? You have a
Okay.
dog, we cover it. You have a skateboard ramp in your backyard, we schedule it and it's covered on your umbrella. So we're actually coming down and providing primary coverage the way umbrellas did in, the early days, 50s and 60s. Now, I haven't seen another one that's not following form excess. And if you told them, hey, I have a dog, a German Shepherd, and I have a separate policy on it, they would say, no, we're not going to quote excess over that, or we won't include that in our umbrella. So I tell all the other insurance companies too, quit calling it an umbrella. It's false advertising. And I have enough faith in the plaintiffs' lawyers out there that at some point that'll be a legal strategy of some lawyers. They'll sue everybody saying you call it an umbrella. Where's the umbrella? Where do you go down and actually cover them for anything that the primary doesn't? Because that implies an umbrella. You're really
Right.
selling them excess, not umbrella.
Right. Okay. Well, Adam, have you got anything?
No, I mean, you do any flight training coverage for flight schools, operations?
Yeah, no, we do flight schools, cover flight school helicopters, and then if they require their student pilots to have non-owned and hired, so they're flying a plane, either as a student or after they're a student, a licensed pilot, they can go there and rent it. If they require everybody that flies their aircraft to have a primary policy, and it really covers their, because the flight school is going to have a $50,000 deductible in most cases. And that's what the student or the pilot that's renting their aircraft, that's what they need, is really the deductible coverage.
Right.
All right. Well, our policy renews in about 2 months, so we might be in touch.
That's obviously for fixed wing, but I mean, I think it works for both.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big policy to me.
We do both. We do hang gliding, tandem paragliding, parachutes, all kinds of little float planes. I think it's the Icon and gyro.
Oh, yeah.
Well, those are hard to insure anyways. Yeah. They're at least through the normal avenues everybody looks at.
Yeah, they all think it's high risk, but my helicopters, again, I don't buy through the regular market. I do what I offer other people, and I take 40% of the risk, but I still pay, at least 40 grand an aircraft, and I have 60% coverage, maybe more. My Falcon has $100 million limit of liability, and 17 million on the hull for like $42,000.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's a $10 million stack coverage, right? With 10 carriers, each taking 10 million. And they call me up and say, "Hey, do you want to get in on this tower? We know you do aircraft." I'm like, "Hell no." The price for my plane should be at least 200 grand a year. And it shouldn't have 100 million limit. 50 would be more than enough.
Right.
Anyway, again, you get into this mode where you want to sell insurance, right? You start an insurance company and you want to write these types of aircraft. And so you hire an actuary to tell you how to, go beat the market. And I think that's why, there's a lot of insolvencies in our business. Most of them go unnoticed, like Florida homeowners, it goes back to the state. Lloyd's syndicates, it goes back to the central fund. E&S carriers, funny enough, there hasn't been an E&S carrier go broke in like 34 years or something. And it's because Fairfax or some bigger organization buys them for pennies on the dollar as, they're kind of fluttering in the wind. Admitted companies, there's, I think, 30 to 40 a year that go broke nationwide.
Wow. Right. So, yeah, that's very interesting from the insurance aspect, and of course from the pilot aspect. I mean, obviously, most of what we even remotely talk about on the channel is to do with aviation. So, giving pilots and giving owners more of an option for being able to speak to somebody like you instead of having to go, a Vemco. Everybody, if I look at one more Facebook group where somebody says, "Hey, who do you guys recommend for insurance?" and I can guarantee you the first answer, this first response will be a Vemco. And every single time I see that, I'm like, X Insurance. I'm like, call. Try it. You might like it.
Right. Well, and we do some airports. We do some skydiving schools. We do the big tandem paragliding and parachute operations like in Jackson Hole. And, they have to carry high limits because they're operating on ski resort property. And so anyway, there's, just a lot of, but if you're good, I insure the best mountain guides in the world, best rafting guides, best helicopter ski guides, and I've known them forever. And same with, the other things. Again, you're insured is the most underused asset, right? Even a homeowner in Florida with his roof gone, he knows his roof. He may have repaired it before. He may have a great contractor, and we send out some dude with a clipboard who 6 months later, doesn't still have a report for him. How hard is it to go up and say, "Dude, your roof's gone. You getting a roofer or am I getting a roofer?"
I wish everything I wish everything was that simple. If everybody played every game, every business model the way that you do, I think it would be so much easier. But I do want to touch on it for a second. So you've been a pilot for how many years?
Well, I became a student pilot the first time. Well, I'm old. I think 90, 89, 90. And
Okay.
back then I was trying to fly a 300, a used 300 little bubble like MASH. And it was broke all the time and I really didn't have the money. So, I started my student pilot. Then probably 4 years later, I bought my own turbine helicopter, and you can get your pilot license with 40 hours. Well, I had a wife and 7 kids, between her and me and the one we had together. And I don't want to scare myself or scare other people. So I didn't even try and pass my check ride till I had 400 hours.
Okay.
And so, at that point I felt comfortable, and so I have the MD. I had an MD E model, but it was actually a C model, recertified in '96. And then I think 2018, I traded that in for the 530F that I have now. And then 5 years ago, I bought a Star 350 B3 that's based down in Florida that I mainly fly the boat races with and fly around Florida with. But I do fly it to Chicago once a year. And I have about 8,200 hours total now. So, I love it. It's a lot of fun. Most of the time I'm flying around alone. I think most pilots would say that, Like, I love being a pilot, but most of my time I'm alone in it.
Well, I promise you, if you ever need a passenger and you're in Florida, Adam will go, or I'll go with you. I'll make you that promise.
Okay. Well, most of the time. So I just put what they call a red camera, cinematic camera on a gimbal on the A Star. And so the next boat race in 2 weeks will be the first time that'll be, and I won't have the doors open like I had in the past with my son Parker shooting out the side. Now the doors will be closed, it'll be quieter, and that air conditioning will work, which
wow.
Florida, man, it was hot this last weekend in Sarasota, but it's a good time.
I was going to say you were just down here in Sarasota with the boat team, correct? Because you also have a boat team as well, correct?
Yeah, I own a Class 1 boat, which is the biggest ocean boats racing now, and then I have some other boats that I sponsor. I think we have 8 total boats on our team. Bunch of great people, and it's grassroots. People don't do it; they don't win money. The trophies they get you could probably get yourself a better trophy than the ones they give you. So, but they do it because they love it. It's like what college basketball used to be, or professional sports used to be back, in the 50s and 40s, where people did it because they love it.
Yeah, doing it for the love and the passion.
And it's it's a unique small group, and anybody can pay to go to the Masters. You really can't buy a ticket to go to a boat race and sit on the VIP areas and have the type of experience that we put on. So I use it in multiple ways. I just like to meet good people, and over time, you want to deal with good people, so they want the same thing. Everybody hates insurance, and I guess that's my mission, is to say you don't have to hate insurance, you just have to make better decisions. And to me, it all goes back to the playground, right? Pick the kids who will stand and fight with you, and when you're a kid on the playground, you actually care about that. And when we grow up, we tend to just buy the cheapest and say, oh, it's AIG or it's Chubb. So anyway, I insure a lot of people who used to like their insurance companies, and then when the insurance company's appetite changes, they're looking for a partner. And that's why I've been able to continue to grow my business for the last 40 years, is because I say I insure the land of the misfit toys, and there's more toys coming into the land of the misfit all the time.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I think that'll just about do it. I want to say thank you very much for coming on. And obviously, anybody that's out there that is looking for insurance as an owner, if you're looking for home insurance, pretty much anything inside of aviation, inside of homeowners insurance or business insurance, reach out to X Insurance, Rick Lindsey. He is the guy in the insurance company or in the insurance world that is not looking to screw anybody over.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And, again, I think as you get older, you just realize that, doing it right actually saves you money in the long run. And
Yep.
Dealing with good people who, feel a responsibility to stick with you in the tough times as well as the bad. And, insurance agents and brokers are as much the victim as anybody, because they don't know. They're doing what they think they should do. And then when the company, whether it's Liberty or it, changes their appetite, the agent is the bearer of bad news. And they're in most cases running around trying to find you another quote so you're not mad at them. And in many cases, they wait up until the last minute to tell you the bad news, which, what they should do is get ahead of it and tell you early on. I was talking with a guy that buys film production insurance, and I said, are they trying to get you quotes? He's like, no, they told me 2 months ago they're not doing it anymore and they can't find anybody to do it. And, that was shocking to me, because most cases agents are at least trying to find you a replacement market, but it must be worse in that class of business than I knew before. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Anytime I can be a help, anybody can call X Insurance Direct. If you have a favorite agent or broker, we're happy to deal with them too. We just think we need to approach it with a different strategy. The way it's been done, the way that most people are going, they're going in the wrong direction. We need to go in a direction where, we do the right thing and you bench lawyers, kind of like a good divorce. I've been divorced 3 times and I've never had that. But had I been able to do that, the lawyers wouldn't be rich and we would have more money as a family kept, in our circles. So that's the goal here.
Yep. That definitely makes sense. Rick, I wanted to say thank you very much. Adam will be in touch. And like I say, if you need any fuel or if you need any passengers, Adam and I are here at XO4 anytime you need some balance and some counterweight.
Well, I'll keep that in mind, guys. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Rick. Take care, and we'll be speaking to you soon.